In their game, narcissists forgot people like you don't come around twice and lost you. Have you ever been in a relationship where you gave everything, your time, your love, your patience, and your understanding, only to be treated like you were disposable? Have you ever found yourself staring at your phone, wondering how it was possible that someone you cared for so deeply could be so indifferent to you? It's like they were playing a game all along, and you were the pawn they manipulated until they no longer needed you. The shocking truth is, narcissists play these games all the time, and they are experts at convincing themselves that there will always be someone else to fill the void you leave behind. But what happens when they take you for granted, and in their selfish pursuit of validation, they lose you? What happens when the narcissist realizes, too late, that people like you don't come around twice? Narcissists are charming, manipulative, and emotionally shallow. They're driven by a constant need for validation, and they see others as mere tools to bolster their inflated self-image. At first, they may shower you with attention, making you feel like you're the most important person in the world. But behind the mask, there's a sense of entitlement, a deep-seated insecurity, and a tendency to take those who care about them for granted. They think that you'll always be there, that they can always control the narrative, and that they'll never lose the people who are emotionally invested in them. But what happens when their games catch up with them, when the very people they took for granted walk away? They lose something they'll never be able to replace: you. In this video, we're going to explore the narcissist's dangerous game, why they think they can get away with it, and what happens when they forget the truth, that people like you don't come around twice. When the narcissist realizes they've pushed you too far, when they've manipulated you so much that you finally had enough, they are faced with a loss they can never recover from. By the end of this video, you'll understand the emotional toll narcissists inflict on those around them, how their behaviors backfire, and why the person they once took for granted will never return. So, if you've ever felt discarded or overlooked in a relationship with a narcissist, this article is for you. Keep reading, because by the end, you'll not only understand why you left, but why it's so hard for the narcissist to replace someone like you. Hey there, welcome back. Before we jump into today's topic, if you've ever dealt with a narcissist, or if you know someone who has, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Narcissists are skilled at playing emotional games, and today we're diving deep into how their manipulation tactics can eventually lead them to lose the very people they took for granted. You might be wondering, can narcissists really lose someone who's been so loyal to them? Well, the answer is yes, and it's something that hits them hard when they realize it. Let's break it down. When you first meet a narcissist, everything seems perfect. They may sweep you off your feet with their charm, attention, and ability to make you feel special. At the beginning of the relationship, it feels like a dream come true. They mirror your desires and needs, giving you exactly what you want emotionally. But there's a dark side to this apparent perfection. Narcissists are incapable of forming genuine, lasting connections. What starts as an exciting romance or friendship eventually turns into an emotional game, one that's rigged from the start. Narcissists operate from a place of deep insecurity. They're constantly seeking validation, admiration, and attention. In their minds, people are just objects meant to serve their needs and desires. They don't view you as a person with your own hopes, dreams, and feelings. They see you as an extension of their ego, someone who exists to make them feel better about themselves. The moment they feel they have you, they often begin to take you for granted. Their focus shifts from cherishing the relationship to using it to satisfy their own needs. But here's the problem. Narcissists forget that people like you don't come around twice. You might think, why would I leave? But eventually, even the most patient and compassionate people get fed up with being manipulated, used, and emotionally drained. And when that happens, when you decide you've had enough, the narcissist is left holding the bag, struggling to replace someone who understood them, who was loyal to them, and who truly cared. The narcissist's game of control. Narcissists thrive on control. It's the foundation of every relationship they form. When they first meet you, they use charm, flattery, and attention to reel you in. They love bomb you, making you feel special and unique. But this isn't a sign of genuine affection. It's a tactic. They want to establish control by making you feel indebted to them, emotionally attached, and reliant on their validation. This is where the manipulation begins. They use your own emotions to keep you hooked, creating a bond that feels real, even though it's built on a foundation of lies and self-interest. As the relationship progresses, the narcissist begins to show their true colors. They may start to pull away, become distant, or criticize you in subtle ways. They test your boundaries, seeing how much they can push you before you snap. The narcissist's need for control escalates, and they will use any tool at their disposal to maintain their dominance in the relationship. They gaslight you, make you doubt your own perceptions, and emotionally abuse you in ways that leave you questioning your worth. But throughout all this, they still expect you to remain loyal. They expect you to keep putting up with their behavior because they think you'll never leave. They've grown accustomed to people falling in line, giving them the attention and admiration they crave. But here's the twist. Not everyone is willing to stick around for this kind of treatment. People have limits. When the narcissist pushes too far, when they think they've won the game and you've become emotionally dependent on them, you reach your breaking point. You wake up, realize your worth, and finally see the manipulation for what it is. And when you leave, it's a loss the narcissist doesn't know how to handle. The narcissists shock when they lose you. What happens when the narcissist realizes they'd lost you? The truth hits them like a tidal wave. Narcissists often operate under the assumption that no one will ever leave them, that their charm, manipulation, and control will keep everyone around them. They think they can always replace people who become expendable. But when you walk away, it's a different story. Suddenly, they're faced with a reality they don't understand. You are not easily replaceable. Narcissists live in a world where they see people as objects, interchangeable and disposable. But you weren't like the others. You gave them your trust, your time, and your loyalty. You saw through their facade and still chose to stay. But once they lost you, they realized something. People like you don't come around twice. The emotional connection they had with you, the understanding you brought, and the loyalty you showed, these were things they'll never find again. And that realization is devastating for them. In the narcissist's world, this is a crushing blow to their self-image. They can't bear the thought of losing someone who truly saw them for who they were. They can't replace the deep emotional connection you provided, no matter how many people they manipulate in the future. Once you're gone, the narcissist is forced to confront the reality that their game has caught up with them. Why narcissists can't replace people like you? Narcissists can be charming, manipulative, and even persuasive. They may find new people to supply them with attention and admiration, but they will never replace someone like you. The narcissist's relationships are transactional. They are based on getting something from the other person, whether it's emotional validation, admiration, or even power. But you were different. You didn't just give them what they wanted. You saw through their facade, and you gave them something they couldn't manipulate: genuine care, loyalty, and understanding. This is something a narcissist will never find again, no matter how many new people they try to bring into their lives. The moment you walked away, they lost not just someone who was emotionally invested in them, but someone who truly understood their flaws, saw past their ego, and still chose to stay. That's a loss they will never recover from. In the end, narcissists play a dangerous game of manipulation, and while they may win for a time, they are always at risk of losing the one person who means the most, the person who truly saw them. When that happens, it's a loss that's impossible to replace. People like you don't come around twice, and once a narcissist loses you, they'll realize they've made a mistake they can never fix. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video helped you understand why narcissists ultimately lose the very people they try to control. If you found this article valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, your worth isn't tied to someone else's ability to recognize it. You deserve to be loved and appreciated for who you truly are. When a narcissist dies, the alarming reality of the dying narcissist. What happens when a narcissist dies? It's a question that can be unsettling, particularly if you've ever been close to one, or if you found yourself trapped in the tangled web of their manipulation. Narcissists are known for their inflated self-image, their need for admiration, and their disregard for the feelings of others. But what occurs when that self-image shatters, or when their world, built on control and validation, starts to slip away? The truth is, the death of a narcissist, either physically or metaphorically, is a complicated and even disturbing reality. It's not just about the end of their life, but about how the people left behind are affected, how their toxicity lingers, and how the narcissist faces the ultimate loss, the loss of control. For anyone who has had a narcissist in their life, whether it's a partner, parent, colleague, or friend, the idea of their eventual passing can bring up mixed emotions. On one hand, there may be relief. The constant manipulation, the emotional abuse, the roller coaster of highs and lows, all of it would seem to end. But on the other hand, there can be deep confusion and even guilt. What happens when a narcissist dies? Is there a final blow to their need for control? Do they go quietly into the night, or do they leave behind a trail of destruction in their wake? In this video, we'll explore the unsettling reality of the dying narcissist, from the way they approach the end of their life to how they handle their legacy. We'll discuss how their need for power and dominance doesn't end with death, but often continues to reverberate through the lives of those left behind. What happens when the narcissist no longer has an audience to feed off? When the final curtain falls, do they have the power to manipulate from the grave, or do they finally face the emptiness they spent their entire lives avoiding? Stick with me, because by the end, you'll have a deeper understanding of the alarming reality of the dying narcissist, and how you can cope with the aftermath. So, if you've ever wondered about the psychological and emotional dynamics of dealing with a narcissist who is nearing the end of their life, keep reading. This is going to be a thought-provoking exploration into a topic that's rarely discussed, but incredibly important for anyone who has ever lived under the shadow of narcissism. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's topic, if you've ever had a narcissist in your life and want to better understand how they function, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Today, we're discussing something that might be hard to think about, but is incredibly important. What happens when a narcissist dies? It's not just a simple ending. It's a process that can be more complicated, more emotionally charged, and more destructive than we might expect. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care? After all, a narcissist is just a toxic person, right? But the reality is, for those who have lived with a narcissist, whether it's a parent, spouse, or close friend, the end of their life marks a significant emotional event. It's not just about the loss of life, But the way a narcissist's death leaves a void of unresolved issues, lingering manipulation, and emotional turmoil for those who were left behind. The narcissist's whole existence revolves around power, control, and being at the center of attention. They thrive on admiration, validation, and the ability to manipulate the people around them. But what happens when that control is taken from them, when their power is stripped away, and they can no longer hold on to the illusion of invincibility? Do they finally face the consequences of their behavior, or do they continue to manipulate, even from beyond the grave? And more importantly, how do you as the person left behind handle the fallout of their passing? Let's take a deep dive into this subject, exploring what happens when a narcissist faces their inevitable end. We'll discuss how they approach their own mortality, how they manipulate those around them in their final moments, and the emotional impact their death can have on their loved ones. The narcissist's reaction to their own mortality. Narcissists live in denial of their vulnerabilities. They spend their lives constructing a facade of invulnerability, superiority, and strength. They believe they are above the norms that govern the lives of regular people. This belief is what helps them maintain control in relationships and in their social circles. They surround themselves with admirers, people who reflect their image and reinforce their sense of grandiosity. But deep down, narcissists are profoundly insecure. They fear that at any moment, their facade could crumble. And one thing they can't avoid, no matter how hard they try, is the inevitability of death. When faced with the reality of their own mortality, narcissists may react in one of two extreme ways, with complete denial or with an overwhelming sense of entitlement. In denial, they might refuse to acknowledge their illness or failing health. They'll continue to play the game of control and manipulation as if nothing has changed. They might even refuse medical treatment, convinced that they can defy death or that they are too important to succumb to the same fate as everyone else. For them, accepting that death is inevitable feels like an affront to their grandiose sense of self-importance. On the other hand, some narcissists may display an exaggerated sense of entitlement as they approach death. They may demand special treatment or expect their loved ones to cater to their every need, believing that they should be treated as royalty in their final moments. Even in their decline, they might continue to expect admiration, respect, and compliance from others, as if death were just another opportunity for them to be the center of attention. In either case, the narcissist's death is rarely a peaceful or quiet affair. It is often marked by a sense of drama, manipulation, and self-centeredness that extends to those around them. They might push others to extremes to get the attention and validation they crave, all while still holding on to their inflated sense of self. The narcissist's legacy and the people left behind. When a narcissist dies, they often leave behind a trail of emotional destruction. For the people who are closest to them, there can be a sense of confusion, guilt, and even a feeling of abandonment. The narcissist's death doesn't immediately provide relief. Instead, it often serves as a reminder of how toxic their presence was and how deeply their manipulation affected those around them. The narcissist has spent their life convincing people to cater to their needs, and as they approach their end, they may continue to exert control over those closest to them. They may try to manipulate their family, friends, or even caregivers, continuing the cycle of emotional abuse until the very end. If they have children, they may guilt-trip them into providing care or making certain decisions, while never acknowledging the years of neglect, emotional cruelty, or control they subjected them to. One of the most alarming things about a narcissist's death is how the damage can persist. Even after they are gone, their legacy lives on. Narcissists often leave unresolved emotional issues, toxic patterns, and guilt-ridden relationships in their wake. The people who were closest to them may feel a sense of obligation to honor their memory, even if they've been mistreated for years. This can lead to feelings of resentment, confusion, and self-doubt, as the narcissist's influence continues to haunt them even in death. The guilt and relief of the survivors. The death of a narcissist often elicits a complex mix of emotions from the survivors. While there may be a sense of relief, a freedom from the constant manipulation and emotional strain, there's also a heavy weight of guilt that can accompany it. Survivors may feel as if they are bad people for feeling relieved, or they may struggle with feelings of shame for not mourning the narcissist's passing in the way others expect. The narcissist's death can feel like the closing of a chapter, but that chapter often leaves lingering scars that are not easy to move past. For many survivors, the narcissist's death doesn't mean the end of the emotional turmoil. Instead, it can mark the beginning of a painful journey of self-discovery as they come to terms with the impact the narcissist had on their lives. They may have to untangle years of emotional manipulation, guilt, and confusion before they can begin to heal. In some cases, the narcissist may have left behind unresolved issues, like a will full of demands or a family situation that continues to create division, making the healing process even more challenging. The final manipulation. Narcissists are so accustomed to being in control that even in death, they can leave behind a final manipulation. This might manifest in the form of a will that manipulates the surviving family members, an inheritance that comes with strings attached, or even an emotional trap designed to keep people in line. The narcissist's need for control doesn't end with their death. It often becomes more insidious, affecting the lives of those left behind in ways that are difficult to escape. The death of a narcissist is a profound event, one that's often filled with a mix of confusion, guilt, and lasting emotional scars. While there may be relief for those who have suffered under their control, the legacy they leave behind can be complicated and painful to untangle. The narcissist's passing doesn't mean the end of the damage they caused. It means that survivors must now face the aftermath and begin the difficult process of healing. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this content helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, healing from a narcissistic relationship is possible, and you are not alone in this journey. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. When the wave of destruction turns against the narcissist. What happens when the very wave of destruction that narcissists so often create, destroying relationships, friendships, careers, and even their own peace of mind, turns against them? How does the narcissist cope when the manipulations they've perfected for so long finally backfire, leaving them to face the chaos they've caused? You may have witnessed this phenomenon firsthand. The person who once seemed